What's going on, everybody? No Life Wood here, and I'm gonna cut straight to the chase. I interviewed Tor about Anime Last Stand. If you don't already know who Tor is, he is the server manager and game manager for Anime Last Stand. And the main thing that I interviewed him about were my chief concerns from the previous video that I just uploaded. So if you haven't seen that, go back, watch it, then come back here. So, if you don't know, Tor has recently put out some patch notes regarding the traits in the game, and I'm going to put them up on the screen here, but I'm not going to read all that. I'll give you the keynotes of it. Shinigami and All Seeing Eye have been nerfed, Overlord and Avatar have been buffed. So, the main question that I asked him was, what is the point of All Seeing Eye and Shinigami in the context of the game right now? Now, immediately, he began to defend his patch notes via calculations about the damage output of these traits, so and so, so and so. I immediately began to cut him off and say, no, I understand, right? I understand the introduction of these nerfs because, in my opinion, it's being made around future content and it is to give trait identity. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means later, but it's mainly for trait identity. So when I asked him about what is the point of All Seeing Eye and Shinigami in the context of the game right now, and the takeaway from his responses was traits are balanced around future content. So the chief concerns of my last video was, what is the point of these traits if the current method of farming in the game and all the current content in the game is a 15 wave format, where if a unit has above one, really you're not even maxing out a unit that is above one placement because you don't have enough money to do so, and that is the hardest content that we're farming right now. And in response to this, right, he confirmed that the One Punch Man upcoming update, the raid system is going to be 25 waves. So it's going to be 10 waves longer than our normal format, which in his opinion is going to introduce value for some of the units that take more money and more placement in order to flourish, right? In order to be worth your time having on your team. I personally have an issue with this, but I will talk about that later. What's important, right, is that I asked him, right, what is the point of these units if there's no infinite content coming up in the future and there's no infinite content to do right now? And his response surprised me, right? I was like, just not disturbed, but I was actually just like dumbfounded in the calm. He confirmed that statistically, and they can check these things, the most farmed content or the most done content, the content that people are doing the most in Anime Last Stand, is infinite mode. And if you're like me and you play this game for progression and you are at the end, you're currently at the end game, you have like pretty much every new unit evolved or progressed, like skill trees maxed out, you are wondering how is infinite the most done content in the game right now? His response to that is that the tower defense game that most people started off with was Bloons, as in Bloons tower defense with the monkeys throwing the darts. And for that reason, people are accustomed to, and they continue to, sit in infinite doing nothing. That's not a joke. People sit in infinites and they watch their units do little animations, and that's it. That was the argument that he was making, and from that you can infer that the content in the game is being balanced around that. There is content in the game, that is the audience that they are appealing to with these updates. The people that sit in infinites all day doing nothing. And that's not like that, I'm not throwing shade at them, I'm not trying to be argumentative about that, but that was eye-opening to me because I'm sitting here wondering, like, why is there so much focus on these units that are unusable for the current format? And then I've just informed that apparently the current format isn't even what the majority of players are doing right now. And this is where I come to you guys, right? Are you guys a part of this category of people who are sitting in infinite and just watching units attack, and that's it. Like, no other reason really. Assuming you're already in in-game content, that's what you're doing right now. You're just sitting in infinites. I'm genuinely curious. I want to hear responses in the comments about it, because it is insane to me that that is what the players are doing, and that is therefore what the content is balanced around. So that pretty much concludes my interview with Tor, right? I asked him what's the point of All-Seeing and Shinigami. His response: these traits are being balanced around future content, and they're being provided for the audience of people who are sitting in infinites all day and apparently want to be good at that. So now let me talk about my gripes with this, right? Trait identity is what I mentioned earlier, and it is the concept of you have the traits in this game, and each of them has a different purpose for a different unit. So, all seeing, the purpose of that is apparently supposed to be for your support units that are multi-hit. So, you're enabling range for them so that they can support better, apparently. And when I asked him, like, okay, well, what's going on with the damage for these units? Is it better to, I guess, if with the new patch notes, is it better for an all-seeing eye unit to have, I don't know, a crit skill tree, finally make the crit skill tree work? And he said no. So I'm assuming that the way all-seeing eye is supposed to work is that it's supposed to be for your support unit, which is apparently Gojo, right? He brought up Gojo. If you've watched my content, you know I have already told you why Gojo is just not functional in this current this current update, right? And I brought that up to him. I said, okay, but he responded to, he took away the stun from Gojo, and he said, but Gojo got what is essentially like a 33% damage increase about it, right? And a support cooldown nerf. And then my response to that was like, but he's not doing any damage, right? And his response to that, or my response to that, was he's not doing any damage. Why aren't you using other units like Avatar, the Avatar pretty much guts, or any dot unit, or Overlord DPS units? And his response to that was, if you're going to make that argument, why not just use any other unit in the game with any other trait in the game? And my response to that was, that's what players are doing. And maybe that was an overextension on my part, but that's what I believed other players to be doing. This is another thing I'm asking about for the comment section, but are you guys running Overlord Gojo, if you have him, over Avatar Sukuna or Avatar Guts? That's a genuine question from me, because from my perspective, Gojo has been drained of all value due to his update changes, because he no longer has the support, and his damage is less than the other top tier meta DPS units in the game. Specifically those that are formatted around the content we have now, which is portals and challenges. So that was my argument on it, right? So back to trait identity, right? He's balancing content around that. So all-seeing eye is going to be for your supports. Shinigami is going to be for your 4+ placement units that are, when they do have 4+ placement and you max them all out, they're doing more on average DPS than an Overlord or an Avatar unit. And the reason behind the nerf for that is because they were doing so much more, supposing that you get them all maxed out and all placed down. They were doing so much more than Overlord and Avatar that I guess made them irrelevant in the eyes of the developer, so they were nerfed. Collectively, they still outperform Overlord and Avatar on a 4 placement unit that's meta. And my argument against that was, of course, where are you getting your 4 placements? And that, like, where are you getting maxed out 4 placement units? And that is when the conversation then shifted to infinite content is the most farmed right now. But back to trait identity again. Sorry for doing so many tangents, but trait identity. So Shinigami is for those 4+ placements. Overlord is for the units that have 1 to 3 placement, and would be better for them to have that 4 times DPS as opposed to the Shinigami because the damage won't be as good. And then Avatar is made for your 1 to 3 placement units that have dots, but mainly around dot units, just to enhance their dot while enhancing their base damage. The issue with trait identity in the game right now is the reroll system, right? Trait identity is amazing on paper, right? It's amazing under the assumption that people are getting the right trait for the right unit in the right content. But only the lucky people are getting the right trait for the right unit. And we don't currently have the right content, in my opinion. I guess this video is no longer being projected towards the infinite farmers that apparently comprise most of the game right now. But to the people who are farming the portals and the challenges right now, which all the content is focused around, in my opinion, right? Trait identity doesn't apply towards that, because getting Shinigami on a unit means nothing when it's 15 waves. Getting All-Seeing Eye on a unit means nothing when it's 15 waves. It's always going to be preferable to have Overlord or Avatar. And even with the upcoming One Punch Man raid system that's going to have 25 raids, even then, the amount of money that you're going to have to make isn't going to be good for Shinigami 4+ placement units. It's just not going to be, right? At that point, you're just going to bring more of your Avatar or Overlord units if you have them into the battle. So instead of just having 1 max guts placed down, you're going to have 1 max guts and 1 Avatar Sukuna and 1 Overlord DPS unit, or maybe an Overlord support unit or an Avatar support unit that does pretty decent DPS as well, right? Even with the 25 wave system, it is still not going to be all that good to have any trait other than Avatar or Overlord. And that is my problem with the game right now. This issue only gets fixed when there's more infinite content, right? And apparently that is not the main focus of the developers, because people are already doing infinite content. And apparently most of the players of the game are doing infinite content. So apparently most of the players of the game are seeing the benefits from Shinigami being 4+ placement and All-Seeing Eye being a bunch of placement. And that is what the game is being developed around currently. Now, I don't understand this, and I wouldn't be able to understand it unless I saw the official statistics in some kind of quantifiable way. But I go to the general chat, and when the update drops, everybody is complaining about the new trait changes. I go to my YouTube comments. Some of you wonderful people have been leaving comments for me to read. I'm reading them, and most of them are like, wow, you're really speaking about some of the issues of this game. Wow, I was having this problem too. Yeah, I really can't do so-and-so with so-and-so unit because they have Shinigami and All-Seeing. And I haven't got my first Overlord yet, and these traits are dramatically weaker. So I'm gonna end the video here by I want you guys to comment and tell me, am I the outlier here? Is there something I'm missing? Or is the entirety of the audience of this game really just sitting in Infinite doing nothing with the Shinigami and the All-Seeing units, and they're having fun with the game, and then that's just it? Am I missing something here? I genuinely don't understand it. So please, if any of you fall into this category and you have an explanation for it, please tell me in the comments. But overall, that's pretty much the wrap up of the interview that I had with Tor. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, specifically comment, because I'm really, it's baffling me, the response that I got from this developer. But that's gonna wrap it up. If you enjoyed, stick around. I upload a lot of content on this game. Yeah, that'll be all. Hope you enjoyed, and adios.